Is she the rapist then? Or let's take it the other way. Let's have two guys. Two gay men. They're drunk. Both of them. Trashed. Now, is it going to depend on whose house or apartment that they go, whose domicile that they go to in order to determine who's the rapist? So if the person who actually lives at the domicile is, they're both gay now, remember, is drunk, and the invited guest is drunk, so I'm guessing the invited guest is going to be the one that committed the rape, or are you going to say that they raped each other because they're both men? I'm just trying to follow the logic trail here, folks. You see how stupid this is? You're automatically placing the blame on the male. Well, what if the male is like this George? I don't know what this kid from, I'm just based on his looks and the way he's holding a picture. And he's not a very masculine young man, but evidently he's British, so that really doesn't mean anything. Whatever. In any case, he's writing in his blog, he argued that overwhelming majority of people don't have to be taught not to be a rapist, and that men inclined to commit the crime would be unlikely to attend such a workshop in the first place. He added that he found his invitation to one of the sessions incredibly hurtful. See, that's what I mean by not. If somebody were to send me an invitation to go to one of these stupid lectures, I wouldn't be hurt by it. I'd be a man and be pissed about it. Because you're automatically assuming that I'm the rapist. I'd be going into that lecture for armed to bear, man. I'd be a bear. Urgh. I wouldn't be, oh man, that hurts my feelings. How could they possibly think that way? No, I'm going to write about it. I'm going to blog about it. No. I'm not even going to rip the invitation up. I'm going to bring it to the lecture, go up to the front, rip it in front of everybody, and start pointing out how all of them are sexist. Not racist, sexist. Just to assume that simply because the man is supposed, hey, man can't be responsible for everything, right? Isn't it? I think it's kind of interesting how the left is saying, well, the man has got to be more like a woman, bring out their feminine side and blah, blah. And they do that. Now the men are wimpy, mamby-pamby. So when men decide to say, well, maybe I need to be a little bit more forward. And the man gets to be a little bit more forward. Now he's a rapist. What the hell is going on? This is not how you propagate the species, by the way. I don't know. Look, I don't know if this is what is it? There are movies about, there was a TV show, Logan's Run, where everything was artificial and nobody had sex. It was all artificial insemination. Well, yeah, supposedly nobody had sex, but you weren't supposed to have sex. It was all artificial insemination. Sex was just, is that where we're headed? Because sex to these feminazis is just nasty. Hey, yeah, there are those who believe, and they believe in their heart, these feminazis who believe in their heart that anytime a man has a sex with a woman, it's rape. They're both sober. She's married to him even. It's their wedding night. They want to consummate the marriage. And the woman's the aggressor. The woman's on top of the guy, stripping, ripping his clothes off and jumping up and down on him. The man's still the rape. Every time a man has sex with a woman, it's rape. According to some. I kid you not. And so now don't ignore this, folks. We've been ignoring this kind of academia stuff for far too long, and now look what's happening on the racial end. Now we get a bunch of pampered, mamby-pamby, 25-year-olds who feel, bullied, feel oppressed. And now they're out there talking about, free speech is only for those who agree with us. That's not, well, let me lighten you a little bit. That's not free speech. Anyway, poor George. He says, but in the latest example of politically correct intolerance in universities, the student faced a fierce backlash from radical feminists. He was attacked on Twitter and Facebook by student activists branding him a rapist and a misogynist. Now, Mr. Lawler, who studies politics and sociology, fears the furor will affect his academic work and his future career. Mr. Lawler, if you do not become a staunch conservative, you are a fool. I'm just saying. Now, the abuse was so bad, he says, that he stopped going to lectures. Now, he told the Daily Mail, I was expecting a reaction, but I was not prepared for just how horrible. Well, Mr. Lawler, you have just learned the number one fact of liberalism. You cannot question them. Ever. Never. For if you question them today, you will be branded and labeled as a sexist, homophobic, rapist, bigoted. You will, if you question them. That's exactly how they will brand you. And they will scream it, and they will yell at you, and they will chase you down, and they will berate you, they will libel you, and dare you to try to sue them. Because, hey, it's all about their freedom of expression and freedom of speech. But you, sir, do not get the same. You do not get freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Because you are a misogynist. Because they said so simply because you question the effectiveness of the class. It does not matter if the lectures actually work. I had somebody today tell me about Bernie Sanders and what Bernie Sanders wants to do. I said, it does not work. And they said, it's all about the appearance of Mr. Sanders. He cares. He wants to do something. Well, feelings have nothing to do with policy. But this is how these people operate. Mr. Lawler, you're 19 years old and have just learned a very, very, very adult lesson. You do not mess with the feminist unless you're ready to do battle. And you, sir, obviously are not man enough to do battle with these people. Because, a masculine man would probably look at these feminists who are probably butch dyke lesbians. And, hey, if he would have stood toe-to-toe with them, they probably would have went to fisticuffs. And knowing some lesbians from around here, some of them are more manly than some of the men I know. Probably would have kicked his butt. But, but you've learned a very valuable lesson. And I hope this lesson makes you a full-fledged conservative, because if it doesn't, you have no brain, sir. None. I don't know why I'm calling this 19-year-old kid. Not an officer in the military. He's not a sir. He's a kid. But he's learning some valuable Now, let's just see if he actually takes heed of those. I don't know if he will, but... Now, he posed for a picture. I don't know if it's gone viral, but he posed with a picture. He posed for a picture with a handwritten sign on his notebook that says, "This is not what a rapist looks like." Well, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but yeah, I'm not going to put him in the likes of other people. He's just too apple pie-ish. Apple pie face-ish. Might as well be a red. He's got auburn hair, I guess. What is that hair color? Lots of. It's actually, on a I'm not really into blondes. Just for those of you who don't know, my ex-wife is English and Swedish descent. She's a blonde. I know people are going to be out there. But what was he? What is he like? Yeah. Was he out there? I know. Hey, yeah, we had. Well, I guess I guess by standards. Remember, all if you have sex with the woman can never consent, never ever. Feminist. And the funny thing is you got some guys out there agreeing with him. Feminine, wimpy, emasculated men are running, or males, I should say, running around these college campuses, and they're saying, yeah, that's just men are just evil, and that's just rape. Well, at least if you have heterosexual sex, it has because no woman really wants to have sex. I don't know if that means that they only want to have sex with a woman. I guess there is, but if the act of the rape is the actual penetration, then what if two women are doing that? I'm just asking the question. I'm trying to figure these people out. I know it's a near impossibility, but that's why I'm here. I'm the one that's supposed to get the brain ache, so I'm the one that figures this out, so I can tell you about it, so you don't have to suffer brain aches. Because let me tell you something. You don't want a brain ache. They're worse than migraines. I know some people are saying, well, isn't that a headache? No, a brain ache is not a headache. You do not want a brain ache because you can't take any medicine for that. There's no Excedrin PM or Nidol or whatever. There's nothing. You've got to get through it. I'm telling you, I'm falling on the sword for you here. I'm the one that risked the brain ache, so you don't have to worry about it and do that because these people drive you insane if you're not trained how to handle them. And because I am such a staunch, politically incorrect conservative, I know how to beat them back with, you could tie both hands behind my back and I'd still crush them. Be like me playing badminton with the racket in my mouth. I'd still kill them. Well, not literally, but crush them. Defeat them. Yeah, because I've learned all about these people. By the way, speaking of learning all about these people, AP, I saw something. I know there are some people that probably wish this would happen here in the United States, but looks like Russia's ahead of the curve in something else. In religion, and it's not about the Muslim thing. This is pretty interesting. Of what I could say, Putin wanted this done. I don't know, but Russia has moved against a church, not necessarily a religion. I guess it depends on who you are, but they've moved against a church in Russia. I gotta tell you, it's surprising, but kind of glad that they did. You know what? We'll get into it when we get back. I promise. Stick around.